So excited to be here with you guys today. I know we just jumped on live. We're live on YouTube and on Facebook, social media, and so if you're on, would love to have you jump on here with me. And it's going to be a great next 20 minutes or so. Just want to chat with you of some things that are just burning in my heart, and just love seeing if you're joining me this afternoon or morning, wherever you are at. Would love for you to put a comment in the chat. Let me know who you are, where you're watching from, and just going to be so good to see. Just want to know who's joining me, and if you have any comments or questions throughout the live chat, leave those in the comments below as well. And so just want to see who's with me. Just going to get started here in just a minute as we wait for more people to just jump on and join us this afternoon. It's going to be a great day. I just really hearing that this is going to be an incredible day of breakthrough for a lot of you, and what's going to be released on this live call. There's going to be something that's going to awaken inside of you, and an urgency inside of you, to release the testimony of what God has done in your life. And so, very excited. Nancy, so good that you're jumped on here. Nancy Palmer, it's so good. If you're just jumping on, please just leave a comment in the comment section. Place your name, maybe where you're joining from. I'd love to see where everyone is jumping into. Paul, good to see you again, jumping on here. Just I love seeing the recognizable names on here from the Igniting Hope world, and I'm excited to share with you guys today. It's going to be maybe about 15, 20 minutes. It won't be very long, but I really feel that it's going to be impactful. We're going to go after setting up hope through testimonies today. And I'm just going to go through Psalm 78 with you guys. And for those that can, from Reno, Nevada. Come on, Paul. That's so good. So glad you're here. So glad you're here. Nancy's here. Got a couple others watching online. And so, yeah, so good. If you have any comments or any questions while I'm sharing my heart, just put them in the comments in the chat. We'd love to engage with you and see what you guys are asking, see what's sticking out to you. But I just want to introduce myself really quickly. That I am my name, of course, you can see it on the screen on the bottom left corner, that I'm Jason Neustaeter. I'm a third-year student at Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry here. I'm underneath Steve Backlund, third-year student for Steve Backlund. Steve Backlund's my mentor this year, and what an honor it has been to just run with him and with the Igniting Hope team this year, and super excited what God's doing. There's so many things happening and coming up in the Igniting Hope world. And if you want more information on that, go to ignitinghopeministries.com and find out all that's going on there. You won't be disappointed. I mean, there's so much happening, and God is using so much. And one of the beliefs Igniting Hope is like to give God so much to work with that our angels have to call for backup. And so it's going to be a good day. Glad you guys are here. That's what I'm doing this year. But I'm a husband and a father to 3 kids, 10, 8, and 6. And they love, my whole family loves Jesus. I mean, what more can a parent ask for? I was born in Canada, moved to the United States when I was 20, and have lived here ever since and moved around America, different places. And so that's a little bit about me. I'm passionate about people encountering the love of God. I believe that one encounter can change everything, and I'm incredibly passionate about that. And so just believing that even today as I share, there's going to be encounters released right now as I'm speaking, that the love of God is going to come on you. I also believe that there's going to be strategies for you to take what's being said here today and to run with it. And so if you do have a Bible nearby, or you can just listen to it later or look at it later. But I'm going to be in Psalm 78 today. So I want to share a little bit about me and how I came to know Jesus. I I grew up in a church when I was a kid, and I didn't like it. I grew up in church right from when I was born. My parents went to church, brought me to church, and something happened to me and my sister when we were younger that totally turned me against church, against His people, and against God Himself. Yeah, we were sexually abused by church leadership, and just destroyed um, my view of the Father in heaven. That He would let something that happen to someone like me as a kid, and I wasn't going to choose God. I was actually going to choose the opposite. I wasn't going to choose God. I wasn't going to choose church. I wasn't going to choose His people. And I remember at 11 years old in my parents' living room, my parents every night would read the Word of God to me and my sister before we would go to bed. And I'm so grateful that I had parents that knew that the Word of God was powerful, and that when they read it, even though there was no understanding that me and my sister had, that there was something in it, that there's some power in it that would um, transform our lives. And I remember one night at 11 years old when my parents were reading from the Word of God, and I don't even know what they were reading. I don't remember anything that they were reading, but they read it, and a love came on me so strong. I went to the floor in my parents' living room, and I just started to encounter almost over and over and over again the love of the Father. And at that moment, when I wasn't going to choose Him, He came in and He chose me, and He didn't have to. And I share that testimony um, about how I came to follow Jesus, and then from that moment, I said yes to Jesus. And I'm 42 now, and I'm still saying yes. I don't even know sometimes what I'm saying yes to. It's almost like Jesus doesn't even have to ask the question. He's done so much for me. He saved me from bitterness, from hatred, from anger, from going down a road that I probably didn't even want to go to. Don, good to see you on this call, on this live chat, and so good to see you. And I was going down this road, but He invaded what the enemy had planned, and He came and rescued me, and um, and chose me. And I share that testimony because I believe that God established a testimony within me, and my testimony must be made known. And here's why. I'm going to go in Psalm 78 here in just a minute, and this won't be long, but I want you to hear this: that God established a testimony inside of me, and I need to share it. And this is what happens when we share a testimony. Can I read this to you guys? It's Psalm 78, and it's starting at verse 5. And I want to show you how powerful this is. And it says here in verse 5, for He, God, established a testimony. Just say testimony real quick. Testimony. He established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which He commanded our fathers. Now, do you want to know what He commanded? What did God command our fathers? Watch this. He commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children. Make what known? What was established? A testimony. God commanded that you have a testimony of the wonderful works of God in your life. And I am commanding you to share those things and make sure that they're known to their children. Watch this. That the generation to come might know them. Me holding back my testimony holds back hope from the next generation. Me releasing my testimony releases this grace of hope to be set up for the next generation. Watch this in verse 6. That the generation to come might know them. Know what? The testimony that was established. The children who would be born, the ones that aren't born yet, but they're about to be born, that they may arise and declare them to their children. My testimony once I make it known to the generation to come, the children not even born yet are going to share it with their children, and they will arise and declare it to their children and to their children and to their children. When does when does hope cease to keep movement? When testimonies stop being shared. Testimonies release hope for another generation. Okay, verse 7, get ready. It says this, that they may set, that who may set? They, the children and the children's children, the generations, that the generations may set their hope in God and not forget the works of God. This is how powerful a testimony is. The Bible also says that the testimony is a prophecy of Jesus. And so when we testify, Jesus wants to do that thing again. I just testified that I wasn't going to choose God, but God came and chose me. And I release that right now over people that are watching. You may have sons and daughters that are prodigals that you're believing for, that will come back to the Lord, that have chosen, like, I'm going to be an atheist. I'm not going to choose God. I'm not going to follow the ways of God. And you've been praying for them. Well, I'm releasing this as a hope to you that even when your children won't choose God, He's after them. He's going to choose them. When I share the testimony that has been established in my life and make it known to the generation, this is what it does. It sets their hope in God and for them to not forget the works of God. I just want to encourage you guys today that there is power in testimony. There's a power in a testimony. And when I sit down with my kids and I share my story, I said, it doesn't matter where you're at. God is after you. He loves you. When I share to my kids the testimonies of when I prayed for the woman in a wheelchair in New York City who is paralyzed from the neck down, we prayed for her and she began to walk for the first time in 12 years. When I share that with my children, you know what it does? It reveals to them the wonders and the works of God, and it sets a hope in them for God. I don't even have to do anything else. I don't even have to be the best parent with the best strategies, the parent that has Bible study or worship time or prayer time with their kids, although those things are incredible and important. Just by me taking the testimony that was established in me and releasing it to my children, automatically they will set their hope in God and not forget the works of God. Man, this is powerful. The power of a testimony sets hope in the generation to come. This is the danger with not sharing it, though. In the same passage in Psalm 78 verse 11, or verses 9 to 11. I'm going to read this to you. This is crazy. What happens? It says, the children of Ephraim being armed and carrying bows. Man, the children of Ephraim, they were equipped. They turned back. Why did they turn back? In verse 11, it says, refused to walk in his law and forgot his works and his wonders that he had shown them. Somebody had stopped sharing the testimonies of the wonders of God. And the children who were armed and carrying bows, it looked like they were ready for battle, but they turned back in the day of battle because they forgot his works. Same thing in Psalm 78, verses 40 to 42. It says, how often they provoked him in the wilderness. Oh man, I don't know about you. I don't want to provoke God. I don't want to provoke God in the wilderness or in the promised land. But it said, and grieved him in the desert. How did the Israelites grieve him in the desert? In this verse, it doesn't say because they complained. It doesn't say because they had a negative attitude. This is how it grieved him. Yes, again and again, they tempted God and limited the Holy One of Israel. They did not remember his power. Uh-oh. They stopped sharing testimonies. And the generation forgot that God was powerful. They stopped sharing testimonies and they began to forget his works. They stopped sharing testimonies and they forgot his wonders that they had shown him in the beginning. They stopped sharing testimonies and they forgot the testimony that was established in their father Jacob. And what did it do? In verse 41, it said it limited God. That's crazy to me. How not sharing our testimony limits God because the next generation forgets how good he is. I'm talking to people on this call that have testimonies, wonders, goodness of what the Lord has done in you. And there's people on this call whose voice is powerful and is heard. And I just believe that as you share your testimony this week, that it's going to not just have the prophecy of Jesus and be able to do it again, but it's going to do what verse 7 in Psalm 78 says. It's going to set a hope in the generation. It's going to set a hope in a generation. In verse 56, it said, yet they tested and provoked the Most High God. How? They did not keep his testimonies. In this psalm, there's a lot of negative. They forgot his testimonies. They ignored his testimonies, and things happened. But I want to focus on the positive. What happens? What happens? Me and my wife, ever since our kids were conceived and in the womb, we have 3 books here. We got 3 kids, Owen, Lincoln, and Eliza. These 3 books, we have labeled them. We call them our kids' rod and staff. Why do we call it a rod and staff? The very first weapon that Daniel picked up before going after Goliath was what? You can read it in I think 1 Samuel or 2 Samuel. The very first weapon he picked up was not Saul's armor, was not the slingshot, was not the 5 smooth stones. In the passage you'll read, the first thing he picks up was his rod. Why? Because when a shepherd saw, or people saw miracles of God, they would notch it. They would notch it, carve it into their staff or into their rod. And that rod would remind them of all the miracles and works that God did in their lifetime. And if they were going through another season of like, I'm not sure how I'm going to get through this, maybe that's why it says in Psalms, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Because I look back on that rod. And, I remember when God chose me. I remember when God healed my mom of blindness. Oh, I remember that. I remember when my dad was healed of cancer. Oh, yeah. I remember that. I remember when God set me free. I remember I got my rod here. And that's another giant. No problem. No problem. Look what God has done. And so we've written these books. We've written these books for our kids. And every prophecy, every testimony that has been spoken or my kids have been involved with, we have written it in these books. So when they move out of the house, we can say, here, look at all the good things the Lord has done. And you know what we're doing? Intentionally, we just set hope up for the next generation. We just set their hope in God. And all I did was make my testimony known to the generation. And so I encourage you today or this week, what has God done? Man, God's done so many things. What has God done? I want you to take that and I want you to think of one person. It doesn't matter where it is, and it doesn't matter how long it is. I remember when my God, I remember when God healed my mom from MS. The elders of the church came over and they laid hands on my mom, and she about fell out of the chair with the power of God coming on her. She went back to the doctor, and the doctors couldn't find legions anymore in her mind. She was healed of MS. Hmm. I know somebody who needs a healing miracle today. I think I'm going to share a testimony with them, because when I do, it will set a hope in a generation that's coming after me. And if they continue to share it, and they continue to share it, and they continue to share it, we're going to increase hope on this planet. The power of the testimony, setting hope through testimony. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for joining in. You'll be able to watch this later too for those that aren't on here live. I just pray that you're blessed. And I just believe the people that are listening to this right now have a testimony that not only will God do it again, but your testimony will set hope up for the next generation. Well, I love you guys. Thank you for joining us again. It's been a pleasure to be with you, and hope to hear some great testimonies that come from this call. All right, love you guys. Have a great, great week.